guys for tuning in to the Capital Outdoors Show. I have a very special guest tonight, Jim Crowley with Hook and Hunt TV. You know, every week at 7 o'clock, we're tuning in to Capital Outdoors. I'm going to turn my hat off here. It's looking weird in the camera. But every Friday night at 7 o'clock, we're tuning in and we're talking fishing, we're talking hunting, legislation, things that are affecting you, the hunter and fisherman here in Illinois. And I am so happy to be here with Jim Crowley. Jim, thanks for coming and being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, man. This is great. I love the studio.
Yeah, you know, we're here at we're at Jim's house, and you know it's interesting because maybe later on we'll show you, but Jim's got a whole set of diver ducks, and some of his mounts are just beautiful. There's one here that I really love. It's your ruddy bud, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, we did the entire place like a lodge, and you know you got to go out and see some of the loose goose lodge outside.
Yes.
And when I've got some duck hunters that come from out of state and stay with us, you know they stay out there and put the mattress up, but it's set up for everything. So yeah, it's you can tell what the passion is when you walk in the door.
Yeah, definitely, and you know it's amazing to see the interior decorations of an outdoorsman. So it definitely has my interest to do some of it here at my own home. For those of you that don't know Jim Crowley is the owner and you want to call it host, host of Hook and Hunt TV. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a background on Jim Crowley here. Jim is a frequent columnist to Midwest Outdoors magazine. He is a Rapala Pro staff, a Bass Pro Redhead hunting team member. He has been in the Bloomington Pantograph, the Peoria Journal-Star, Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Tribune, Winnipeg Sun, which is in Manitoba, Canada. And in 2008, he was in Fisherman. So it's really an honor to be able to maybe pick his brain on some of the tips, tactics, things like that. You know, and
stuff I've been lying about for 20 years.
Right. Yeah, you know, there's no one better at lying than hunters, fishermen, politicians. So. Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hook and Hunt TV, what you do, and why you do it?
We started in 2009, and for a lot of years, I think from 2000 to 2010 mostly, I was one of the hosts for Midwest Outdoors magazine, so I learned a lot about television and about broadcasting and about educating the public on the outdoors through doing that. And I traveled Mexico, Canada, a lot through the Midwest. And 2009, we started Hook and Hunt TV with some friends. Basically with the bottom line of trying to introduce the next generation to hunting, fishing, and the shooting sports, because they're not being taught that in schools, God forbid that anymore.
Right.
And the other thing is a lot of them aren't watching television anymore, they're watching the internet. So we try to do, and what it has become is a condensed version of a lot of shows, and we try to do everything upbeat but informational, and it's not just a show where Jim goes out and catches fish or Jim goes out and shoots ducks. What we wanted, I felt I've had two jobs in the outdoor industry, and then one is to inform and the second one is to entertain. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to keep that in that YouTube format, every show under 15 minutes, and make it fast-paced and informative. I want when somebody watches the show to go, I get what you're doing, or just maybe that helped me out. And what I mean by help is maybe it made them better, or they go, you know, we do it better. And I don't care about that. If you do it better, but you saw that the way I did it, you think you do it better than that, I don't care as long as you learn the best and the safest way to do it.
Right. I mean, you're brainstorming ideas, things like that, and that's what it takes. You know, for my viewers out there, you know, I met Jim, almost maybe 6 years ago at Bass Pro Shops, and he was doing a seminar on fishing. And I went home, you know, I Googled him up, I found him on Facebook, and, you know, I've been following him since. He had me on his outdoor show. Yes. Yeah, and, you know, we have been in contact, and he received our Capital Outdoors happenings. And, you know, we're talking a little bit before the show, and both of our goals, I guess, is kind of the same, is to educate people about the great outdoors, just different areas. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways, obviously, to do things, and I've always said that if you think you know everything, well, one, you shouldn't be in the outdoors. It's not you're a hero one day and a zero next, and you can literally learn something every time you're out there. I've never seen ducks do the same thing every single day. For as many years as I bass fished, I've never seen bass do everything the exact same way all the time. You're working with God and nature. It's a continuous learning progression, and that's why sometimes when I tell parents when I'm talking to younger kids is one of the great things that the outdoors does is it helps make responsible individuals. The outdoors is when you're hunting or fishing, this is not something that you can just turn on or off. Oh, I'm going to reset. Oh, I got to go find my safe place. You know what? If you blew it, you blew it.
Right. And there is no take back.
There is no take back. If you blew it, you blew it. So you know what? You pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you learn a better way to do it next time. And I've always said if you really want to learn how to get good at something, find somebody who is better at it than you and have the humility to learn from them, because it's going to help both of you.
I agree tenfold. You know, so let's take one step in. We're going to talk legislative news right now, and I know most of you already know this, but the legislative or the 100th GA is coming into session on January 11th. And you know, Jim, I've been telling people that this is going to be a big year, maybe not so much in the outdoor industry for the IDNR and new rules, regulations, and stuff like that. It very well could be, and that's because we have a whole brand new, you know, members are coming in. But, you know, this is an area that not a lot of people focus on, and you, I know, are passionate about hunting, fishing, and I see it all the time on your website where you're saying, you know, be involved, just be educated. You may not agree with Jim, but at least be educated about something. And one of those areas is trapping. You know, a lot of people have a misconception of trapping.
Yeah, and what you know, that's a great point you brought up, because I'm starting to see more stuff come back around on trapping and people doing it. And what is some of the legislation that's coming up for trapping this year for those guys and ladies who do it?
You know, it's not so much that there, you know, it's legislation coming up, but there is, you know it just as well as I do. There's a big group of people out there that do not like hunting and do not even like fishing, because it is you're hurting them. Well, I look at trapping as a conservation tool, and that's something that we're going to talk about too when it comes to, you know, we'll just skip to it right now. You know, in Michigan this week. The governor, let's see here, I'm sorry, folks. Right here. The governor of Michigan, thought I had his name here. This is what happens when you go live. No, Governor Snyder of Michigan signed legislation that made wolf hunting huntable. So you're able to hunt wolf. However, this is a federal endangered species, so you're not able to yet. And I was thinking, you know, well, this is a conservation aspect. This isn't trophy hunting. This is conservation. I mean, people in Chicagoland area, I mean, they're overrun by coyotes. And they're picking up little dogs and they're running away with them. I mean, this is conservation at the heart. I mean, look at wood ducks. I mean, you know, a concise and regulated way of doing something can make it, you know, huge for everyone.
Here's one of the things that I've always found interesting is that anti-hunters, anti-trappers don't do anything to help the sport except complain. They complain. What we do as outdoorsmen is we, in my opinion, and there's going to be liberals that aren't going to like this, but we're the best conservation out there. Why? Because our licensing fees pay for what we do. And they do. So if you want to do something, then become part of it. Don't sit there and just complain. Or they shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that. Well, if you don't think we should hunt, I guarantee you that every belt, every shoe that you wear comes from an animal that we use part of it. It's part of that leather. So if you don't like that, then let your pants fall down and don't do anything for the cows. Okay? I don't know what else to tell you. God didn't go to Walmart and just pick up fish or meat when he needed. You hunt, you kill, you catch, and you eat. It's just all part of it. And, you know, and it's just like when, you know, I've heard people say, well, I just want to be a vegetarian. Well, that's fine, but if you think of it, then the stuff that we hunt, that pees on your food. So, I mean, you know, if you don't want to eat meat, that's fine. But you know what? If you're just going to complain about those of us who want to do it, I have a problem with that because, you know, we're not bothering you. We're using our money to pay for it. And right now your duck numbers are up. Your fish numbers are up. You know why? They're up because of conservation and the guys who care enough to put their money toward it to make it better, not those who sit back, complain, and don't do anything.
Right, and I mean you got groups like Ducks Unlimited, Delta
Waterfowl,
Waterfowl, Whitetails Unlimited. I mean there are groups out
Goes
there.
on and on.
Yeah, I mean National Wild Turkey Federation. I mean these
Right.
groups they're pouring millions of dollars into this stuff to keep this passion and this culture of ours alive.
Right.
And it's big. I just want to step back, talking legislation again. Governor Rauner this week announced over $1 million to recreational trail projects here in Illinois in 6 counties, ladies and gentlemen. You got Saline, McHenry, Winnebago, Henry, Champaign, and Tazewell County. Now, this money is not, taxpayer here specifically in Illinois, but it was a grant by the Federal Highway Administration Recreational Trails Program. Say that 3 times fast. But here,
headache.
I sat there and I kind of thought to myself at first, is this really a good use of our money?
Mm-hmm.
But then, trails, I hunt and fish Jim Edgar Panther Creek all the time, and this is a way for others to enjoy the outdoors that may not really understand the outdoors yet. We have a gap. And especially my generation, where you had technology really introduced into the home front, and then you see it now. People that are enjoying the outdoors. I mean, you teach kids all the time in your fishing seminars.
This year we made it a thing on the show to take younger guys hunting with us this year, or hunt with younger guys in their 20s and their teens, and we did a great show that's up right now. We're hunting with a 13-year-old that his dad raised him that way. Kid's an incredible shot. One of the most responsible young men I've ever duck hunted with. He's amazing. And but that's what happens when you teach and you educate young people about it. Just don't tell them, oh my God, it's a gun, it's not, it's bad. His dad actually taught him. The kid can actually provide for himself. If he had to go out and get food, the kid could do it. Knows how to clean them, knows how to cook them, knows how to hunt safely. And it's the same thing with fishing. My dad actually had me in the boat when I was 3 years old. When we were young, we didn't have cell phones, and you don't have everybody looking like this all the time.
Right, get a neck cramp.
Yeah, they want to get out of the house.
Yeah, yes.
And go do something. And so it was fishing. It was running, walking around, playing with friends, making sure, hey, the street lights are on, I better get home.
Yeah.
That was right. We were outside.
Yes.
We were outside all the time. And I've always said that the outdoors, whether it be hunting, fishing, or shooting sports, teaches responsibility and integrity to young people. And sometimes I really think that some of the people that are out there today are really scared for people to think on their own. And that's why they really don't like the outdoor sports, because people actually are thinking and doing things on their own. Some of the young kids that I talk with at Bass Pro all the time, the high school and the college kids, it's amazing. You can tell these kids were raised the right way. They're respective. They want to win. They have that. You can see that hunger in their eyes.
Yeah.
And they want to do it, and they want to know, and they're asking questions, and they're attentive.
And I bet half of them are better sticks than you and me when they
Yeah,
get out there.
If I had that in school, my grade point average would look more like better than vitamin deficiency, which it looked like. I would have been a lot better in school. These kids are, and they have to maintain a good grade point average to be it, and they are, and it's making them better students.
Yes, and that's why I applaud Governor Rauner when he did this grant and provided it, because at first I'm like, okay, is this a waste? But I look at it and I'm like, no, because this is going to get people involved in their communities, get them out, and I'd rather see that money go to Illinois, because it's going somewhere, whether it's Indiana, somewhere else. So I'm glad that it came to Illinois. But you've been talking shooting, and you are a shotgun instructor.
Right, I was certified through the state of Illinois. Along with my cameraman for the show actually got me into it, but we were certified shotgun instructors for the state. And
some sad news this week out of Sparta, Illinois. The Scholastic Shooting Sports Foundation decided to move the Scholastic Clay Target Program and the Scholastic Action Shooting Program National Championships to Ohio. And this is sad news, because this is an area that counts on this money to bring in dollars to the local economy.
Sure.
And people such as yourself, they're out there, they're doing these seminars and teaching people how to shoot, and they have jobs down there that were based on teaching these youngsters and adults, for that matter, how to shoot. And it's a sad thing to see that.
If Illinois would wake up to to the great resource that it is. I film every year in Columbia, Missouri. State of Missouri is fantastic with that. We do the FFA shoot.
Yes.
And thousands, hundreds and thousands of kids come to the shoots throughout the year. And it is amazing the money that it brings to the economy, the smile that it brings to the faces of the kids, and they compete, whether it be in trap, skeet, or sporting clays. And Missouri is very, very good about that. Illinois has been great on the fishing stuff. If they would wake up to the shooting sports stuff, it would not only be great for the kids, it would be great for the economy in the areas where they bring it to.
And I see that on my Facebook all the time. You see people that they're out there, and what they're doing is they're trying to recruit for these
Sure.
shooting sports. And if you're in a high school and you want to get involved in that, I'm not really sure. I know that you're supposed to register with the IDNR and try to get a team together. That's something that you need to take an initiative in your school to really get out there and get something like that in your school, because guns are not bad. People are bad.
That's right. Guns are just objects. I've laid everyone out here on the table and left them there, and they just don't seem to do anything without me.
No. And it's funny because I always tell people, my gun safety growing up, my brother taught me all about it, my dad taught me all about it, but he said something to me. He goes, "You take this gun out when I'm not around, I'm going to whip you." And that's all he had to say.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was my gun safety tip of the of my youth.
Worked.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But Jim, I want to talk fishing here.
Sure.
You fish for salmon out of Wisconsin. What harbor is it that you fish out of?
We go out. We got to Port Washington.
Okay. And but right now I'm hearing that the perch are doing pretty well on Navy Pier and Montrose Harbor. I'm hearing that they're using jigs, minnows. Do you have any kind of inside tip for maybe some of our viewers that are out there that want to kind of maybe get that inside edge, maybe something a little different? Any kind of
It's nice to see the perch fishing come back around, and I go out of Winthrop Harbor when I'm in Illinois, when I fish out of there, and but Calumet, or not Calumet, Wilmette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've heard guys over there that when the perch come in this time of year, it's been a while since it's happened, and I'm hoping that this goes to the spring, and because some of those charter captains will get out there and start going for perch again, and it's great because that's actually my favorite freshwater fish to eat. But there are so many reports out there. What I would do, and since the conditions are so strange this year and changing like crazy, there are reports out there that you can go on and follow the harbors like that and see, because some of the harbors will change what the guys are catching. And this year it's probably really tiny jigs, waxworms, or small minnows, or things like that. And I would make sure that you check those reports, because with the way the weather's been changing this year, I'm sure it's going to be changing.
Yeah, and I know that before I came up this way, up in the Wisconsin area, I mean they're fishing for salmon through the ice.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there, I'm driving on my way up here, and it's raining, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going ice fishing tomorrow, but I'm still getting reports 8 to 10 inches out at Shabana.
Yep.
I have 4 to 6 inches on a lot of the local suburban ponds up in the Chicagoland area.
Yep.
I personally went out, did some ice checking with my daughter, and we have 4 to 6 inches. But safety out on the ice is a huge factor.
Yep. And
people, I think they kind of just take for granted. One day it's safe, and the next day they just expect that.
No, if I've had a couple buddies now that have been ice fishing a lot this week, and a couple of them are pretty bigger guys, and that's a safety tip too. If you go ice fishing, go with somebody a lot bigger than you and send them out first. And that was a joke. That's a joke. But they actually have one that one friend of mine actually has a tether line that he ties to a tree and will go out, and check the ice. But he has that, and he has a safety vest on and everything. Because if I go out by myself, he goes, I'm 50 years old. He goes, I'm going to make sure that I get home to my kids.
Right.
So
I was watching this YouTube video, and this guy's like, all right, we're doing a demo, and I'm just going to walk on the ice. We got the fire department here, and he's like, I know what to do, but I'm going to show you all what to do. And he starts walking out there, and he falls through this ice, and he's like, you gotta catch your, and you could see, I mean, it hit him, and it hit him hard. And if you're not prepared mentally, this guy was mentally prepared to feel that.
Right.
But you're not when you're walking out there and you fall through that ice. I mean, it can happen like that, and you're looking, I wear cotton. I don't have all the up to date. I know there's been some companies that are introducing.
Well, wool is great. There's some mixed stuff that will wick the moisture away from you. It doesn't matter. You fall through. You're wet. You become heavier.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that.
It's you need to really watch that. What I would do is when I would start walking around if I was in a small pond, and you drill holes as you're going out, so I know I'm in shallower water. And if I've got 4 inches, I don't like going out in less than 4.5 or 5 inches. I just don't feel comfortable with that. But I always go with somebody, and we always have usually like a sled that we pull behind us. If I'm walking up by myself, sometimes I'll take my auger.
Yeah.
I walk with my auger sideways, and what that does is when you're walking out, if you fall through, you have a brace.
And also something to, if you don't have your picks, maybe something else to kind of help pull you
yourself up. Exactly.
So. And and the whole idea of ice fishing, it's a great time. It's a great family sport.
Oh, yeah.
Especially nowadays with these electronics. It's I hear it more and more. It's like a video game.
Oh, I've got a brand new Markham that you could literally sit there. It's like watching a full color video game. It's awesome. You're like, okay, he's coming. It's nice, but you can drop it in a hole and go, I ain't gonna waste my time here. Pick up, go to the next hole, and and just a quick ice fishing tip for you guys. I always say that fish do an in-out, and what I mean by that, especially on reservoirs, is in the spring they'll move in, in the summer they start to move out, in the fall they'll start moving back in, and in the winter they'll start moving back out to their summer locations. So if you're catching fish somewhere in the summertime, that may be a good area for you to try ice fishing. And the wintertime and points are always good because they're always a start of a highway or a step-off point for those fish. They just don't swim around randomly. They'll follow a creek channel. So, and if you have a point with a creek channel that goes by, that's not only going to be a good summer place, it's going to be a good winter location.
Definitely. Well. And you mentioned highway points and stuff like that. And a good part of something like that is the habitat in which a lake has. And I just want to give a shout out to Chips Marine, the Springfield Crappie Club, Central Illinois Crappie Club, JP Construction, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They are adding fish cribs to Shelbyville. Awesome. And these aren't the Christmas tree ones that we're talking about. They're not the crappie ones with the PVC pipes and stuff. This is specifically for the bass. It's designed in a certain way so that a habitat for bass, and it increases the bass. And I really applaud these ladies and gentlemen, because this is what it's all about, is getting suitable habitat so that we can sustain these fishing populations. Right. And there is a time where you want to take fish out, and there's a time where you want to keep them in.
Right.
And I think there's enough room for everyone.
Right.
It definitely is. So also in fishing news in Illinois, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, more specifically the Illinois Fishing Department, lost 6 people, over 193 years of experience between the 6 of them. They worked in the fisheries department, and they're retiring. And congratulations on your retirement. But this is an opportunity. We think of fishing and hunting maybe a little different than most people, and the outdoor industry maybe than most people. This is a time where if you know of a youngster that wants to get out there and have a career maybe in fishing and hunting, but in a little bit different aspect, more of an office setting or hands-on, this is a great opportunity for them, is to get them into these settings so that they can experience, and we can have a sustainable fishing population.
And make a difference.
Definitely. Speaking of fishing, I'm going to kind of jump to one thing. We have a different season coming up. It's not in the IDNR book, but it is show fishing season.
Yeah.
And it is literally, ladies and gentlemen, it is a season when you're doing it like Jim here, where you're where are you going this year? I know I saw it on your website, but I want you to share it with the people this year. You usually are doing some local shows, but you're expanding this year, aren't you?
Yeah, I do a lot with the All Canada Show, and and I've been working with the All Canada Show for years. But the last couple years, I've started going to different venues with the show, and they go to St. Charles in Illinois, then they go to Green Bay in Wisconsin, and then Shakopee, Minnesota, which is by Minneapolis. And so those are the 3 venues for the All Canada Show. And so I'll be at all 3 shows again this year, doing seminars on basically fishing Canada. That's what it is. I'm also going to be doing cooking demonstrations live on TV, which is it's like TV. What can go wrong?
You're right, right.
So it'll be fun, but I'm going to be doing my version of Shore Lunch. on those,
Okay.
and I'm gonna turn 50 next month, and my dad started taking me to Canada when I was 8. So, and there's a lot of, there's maybe not as many as some, but there's a lot of years of going up to Canada, and enjoyed it in different provinces, and have some great relationships with a lot of lodges up there, and a lot of outfitters. And it's fun. This is a show that I look forward to the most. So I'll be in St. Charles, and I'll be in Green Bay. Then I think the last week of January, I think we're going to Kentucky Lake Duck Hunt.
Okay.
And then we're going to Minneapolis or Shakopee, Minnesota. And then I think the weekend after that, I think I'll be at the Quad City show.
So if somebody wants to find out, because maybe they're watching, they can't Google it and stuff,
Yeah.
where can they find that information?
Just go to allcanada.com. And by the way, if you're traveling to Canada, that literally is a one-stop shop for everything. Figuring out the outfitters. And the nice thing about the All Canada show is you can actually meet the lodges or the outfitters that they're going to be staying with.
Oh, yeah.
So you can meet them right there and talk with them. And the All Canada show website, it's allcanada.com. You can also go there, and you'll show the money turnover, like what our dollar's worth there, so you know how to plan your budget,
Okay.
which is really cool, what our dollar's worth there. It will also show you different lodges for different provinces, whether you want to hunt, whether you want to fish, or you just want to travel. So it'll show you all that, and it will give you a breakdown per province of the different lodges and outfitters. Pretty cool.
So if you're interested in the the All Canada show, and you want to go up that way, check that out. What was it?
It's allcanada.com.
Allcanada.com.
There's gonna be giveaways every day. You got a chance to win a free trip to one of the lodges, and so there's
Can't go wrong there.
There's a Labatt's hockey challenge, which I absolutely love. That's at every show, and that's really cool when you have a chance to win fishing rods for scoring a goal, and it's really cool stuff.
And maybe Canada isn't up your alley. So if you're interested in seeing some of the other shows, go to capital-outdoors.com. You can go on our Facebook or our Twitter and stuff like that, and you can see all the different shows here in Illinois. I'll be going to a lot of them. First show that I'll be going to is the Let's Go Fishing show in Collinsville, and this is a great show. It's here in Illinois, and it's in my opinion one of the best in the St. Louis area.
Right.
It's getting better. I've only been there 4 times now for 4
It's always packed,
and it's just got so much to offer. So if you're interested in doing the outdoor shows and stuff like that, here in Illinois, we have that up online. How to switch it over here? Let's talk hunting. You were out hunting today. You didn't have a lot of good inside scoops on the hunting aspects, but kind of tell us about how your day went and so forth.
Well, the day, I can tell you pretty much how the day went is we got as many geese out there as we did sitting here tonight. So, I mean, that was, right now, the hot area right now is without question up by Gardner, Illinois. All the geese right there by 80 and all that. That's where a lot of them are stopping. They're starting to filter down through other parts of the state, but everybody knows that this year was tougher because everything came late.
Yes.
And the local birds got smart really, really quick. And then we had a very late migration. And then we had so many birds pushed down, and then we had everything freeze, and a lot of them just went even farther down south. So the ducks did for sure. And we had probably about out of the whole season, probably about a good 8 to 10 day duck season out of the entire season. Goose hunting, without question, right now is picking up. And the farther north you are, from central Illinois north, is really good right now. Gardner, up by Braidwood, all that.
That hot water plant that sucks them in during those cold weathers.
It's as Canton's getting really good, but that area right now is getting as good as it was probably 6-7 years ago.
And we were talking about that earlier.
Today.
Yeah.
And if you want to kill there are some great hunt clubs up there that you can do that. I've got some guys on some private land that if I can get up there in the next couple of weeks, hopefully I'll be hunting for them. But I love the goose hunt. I love to eat geese. I love to call them in. But right now, that is definitely the hot part of the state right now is Gardner north.
And for those that you don't know, the duck season in northern Illinois and central Illinois, those zones, it's over.
Yep.
If you don't know about that, go and just Google, Illinois hunting regulations. I have that on my website, capital-outdoors.com. So know your rules, regulations, no excuse for it.
Right.
But, Jim, let's just kind of talk duck hunting here. I had it, I was talking to my brother, my dad, my friends, and they're sitting there. Mike, man, I get him to come in that last 60 yards, and then you're out of here. Can you give us a tip maybe, because it's definitely going to affect in the goose hunting, if those that are still out there doing the goose hunting, how do you get those geese that last 60 yards to really commit, at least get them into the 30-yard range so you can give them a pop?
Right, and that's going to, obviously that's going to have, there's a lot of different conditions, and I'm not just saying that to blow up the question. I'll go through a couple for instance. If you have wind is obviously a big dictator of how those birds are going to finish. And if you don't have any wind, that's one of the worst days a lot of times, is because they can check you out a lot more. They're not forced to come into a certain area. Most time they like to land into the wind, or even crossways. And if you have no wind, they have a lot more time to check you out. I have hunted with guys, and I am not a stage caller. I consider myself a meat caller. I can kill geese calling, but I have had guys that, without question, most of the time, when the geese are coming, shut up on the call. Just put the call. I don't care how expensive your call is, how good you are. If they're coming, let them come. The biggest thing that I usually do, I've killed more geese with just a cluck and a moan.
Yeah.
Than a simple, a lot of times, just. You see Chesney.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say your hunting partner's getting all excited.
Getting all excited. But I have killed more geese with just a moan, and sometimes, a lot of times, what that has to do is if they're coming back around, that's when I'll do that. I won't do it so they can focus directly where I'm at. I've done it that way. I've also done it where they won't come right into the decoys, and we have family groups off onto the side, and they start landing in the family groups. I've gotten out of my blind and just laid down in the middle of the decoys in that family group, and they come to that. Later in the year, sometimes they don't want those big decoy spreads. They'll start landing on the outskirts of, you know what? Get up, move, leave your decoys where they're at, and get up and move somewhere. I have had guys actually go 30, 40 yards in front of their decoys. That's when I put motion decoys like socks in those decoys. They're focusing on that. If you're laying in front of that, you'll get a passover shot of those geese coming in. If it's not working, don't keep doing the same thing. Change something.
Yeah.
Change something. Sometimes it's opening the decoys up more so you have a bigger area. Sometimes it's putting the decoys behind you. Sometimes it's just look how they are in the fields. If they're smaller family groups, watch how geese are landing. If you're scouting an area, watch how the geese are landing that day and try to do that the next day. But if it's not working, change something. And sometimes calling doesn't work. Sometimes it's just a couple flaps of the flag.
Yes.
And that's all you need. A flag can work great on days when they're really pressured. So don't think that calling everything is going to get those geese in. Listen to what they're doing. If they're not saying anything, don't. And if they're just doing then do that back to them. I always, especially later in the year, I always listen to what they're doing, and I basically try to echo or mimic that. I don't want to try to overcall them. They're not used to it. It's not what they want. They'll spook, or they'll do this. They're coming in, and then you get the split.
Yep.
You get that a lot on pits, or you just get the fade.
Yeah. And when those feet are dangling and stuff, like Jim said, they're coming in. Don't haul. That's what it's key. When those feet are dangling, they're locked out. They're coming in. They're committed, and you're most likely going to get a shot.
Another thing I'm going to tell you too is that when they're circling, and snow geese especially, and the reason snow geese can be so hard to hunt is because you have thousands of eyes looking down on them. but Canada's especially, and they are Canada's. If you talk to people in Canada, they are not Canadian geese. If you're shooting Canadians, somebody's going to put you in jail. They're Canada geese, and if they're looking down and they're looking at you and their head's just going from side to side real easy, you're fine. If they start doing this thing, they've picked something out. Don't think you're going to get another pass.
Right, and
chances are they're going to go. Watch head movement and watch wing beats and learn.
Yeah. And that's where concealment is absolutely key when you're in the field. Is making sure that you're concealed in your area, because that before a call, before your decoys, if you're concealed, your calling is going to help, and then your decoy placement as well. But concealment is number one. For those that are interested to, they still have that itch. Well, the season's still going on here in Illinois, Jim, and it's the South Central Zone. I basically believe that's what is that, 67 or 70? Highway 70 and south. So basically, southern Illinois, but there's two different zones there. And if you're interested, there's still opportunity to get out there and do that hunting. Aaron Yetter from the Forbes Biological Station, I am a huge fan of this blog, and he puts out there all these numbers. I mean, he does awesome photos from the air, and he shows kind of one of my favorite pictures is where he's passing over a blind, and this blind has all these decoys out, but it sticks out like a sore thumb. Right. And I'm like, and he's like, I don't think these guys are doing so well. But Aaron basically, I read his blog, and in a few words, ladies and gentlemen, and Jim's already said it, the birds are gone. They're south. They're not coming back north, even though we have spring-like weather coming this weekend.
No, they're on their migration.
And Jim, when we were talking earlier, Jim and I were waterfowl hunters, and deer hunting is not, something that we do. Jim, you love to eat it, but it's just not one of our things. But I want to just remind everyone out there, because the DNR wishes to remind people that deer hunters should not confuse late winter antlerless season, firearm season, with CWD season. If you have any questions about that, you need to go on the IDNR homepage, click under deer, and all that information's there. Speaking of CWD, the Missouri Department of Conservation has their latest results out. They tested, if I can recall correctly, it's 12,000 deer during their shotgun season in 2 counties, and they've had a couple of these, or 6,000 of these already returned, and they had 2 deer in these 2 counties, 1 young buck, 1 older buck, and this is just as a hunter, I hate hearing about CWD.
Right.
Whether it's CWD or blue tongue, I mean, this is where I think our conservation part of us is like, okay, what can we do as outdoorsmen? And a lot of people are, you read it on the forums and Facebook and stuff. People are like, well, hey, stop shooting the doe, stop shooting the bucks. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's really an individual call, because I can tell you right now, you take a youngster out and a doe walks by, I want that youngster to be hooked.
You're not going
life.
for a 10-point. Let them shoot the deer and let them realize what it's about, and learn.
And then teach them the conservation aspect of it. Pheasant hunting. I know you do a lot of good pheasant hunting.
I like pheasant hunting.
Pheasant hunting in Illinois, it's still going strong, but there's 2 things I want everyone to be aware of. Youngsters that wish to learn a little bit about wing shooting and do a little bit of a pheasant hunt can go on our website. We just posted this up today. It's going to be in Pure Marquette State Park and in Jersey County. And then there's a Pheasants Forever, Rock Island and Henry County Pheasants Forever are also seeing a youth hunt. I mean, this is what it's all about, is getting these youngsters out there. And there's nothing like a walking up behind a pointer, and all of a sudden, there it goes. And just
no matter how much you expect it still gets you.
Yes.
And I've been with kids when they've shot their first pheasant, and they're shaking, they're shaking, and dog brings it back, and that's just like the coolest thing, man. It's awesome.
That was my first hunt, with a pheasant hunt. We went out, and I trained my dog, and we were out there, and we were hitting the field, and I saw it on the ground, and I said, Dad, there's one right there. And I was going to go and spook it up. He said, no, get the dog to do it. And all of a sudden, my dog, Bud, at the time, he was a big old lab, spooked this thing up. We shot it. It went down. He retrieved it. And, from that moment on, even before I was hooked, but that's what did it for me. It was just seeing all the hard work kind of come together. As pheasant hunting, I was out last week or 2 weeks ago with my dad. We were going out, and it's just any kind of other hunting. There's a lot of walking, a lot of hard work that goes into it.
Right.
When you're pulling up on a pheasant, is there anything that you do maybe a little different from duck hunting to pheasant hunting as a shotgun instructor? I mean, are there any tips that that you could give us?
Yeah, there's 2. It is one. I always make sure. Actually, there's 3. One, the first thing I consider is which way the wind's blowing, because the pheasant, when it goes, will get up and go with the wind.
Okay, that's a great tip.
Most of the time. So the second thing is I'm going to see which way the dog is doing the point, because right away in my mind I'm thinking, okay, where is my safe zone? Because as pheasant hunting, I want to know not only where I think I'm going to shoot, but where my shot's going to go to. And so what I want to do is I want to place my I'm a left-handed shooter.
Okay.
So my best swing is from left to right. Although I can go this way, I don't, because then my body doesn't wind out the right way. I'm going to line myself up behind that dog, depending on which way the wind's blowing, so I have the full rotation of my body and I can follow through with that shot. Because most times in a pheasant, it's either going to be a going away shot or it's going to be a crossing shot. And if it's a going away shot, I'm going to be shooting directly behind, so I'm probably going to be hitting that bird behind. But the crossing shot, I'm not actually hitting the bird. The bird's going to be running into my shot string.
Okay.
So I have to make sure that where I want to follow that bird. So what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that as I'm walking up to that dog, I'm thinking in my mind, where am I going to stop if that bird comes up? What foot's going to be forward? And this becomes second nature. Not that I'm trying to give you a lot of things to think about, but this is just what goes through my mind. My wind direction, so I know how I'm going to go. If the wind is blowing this way, so it's going across here, the dog is pointing here, I'm going to start going off.
Sound like a deer hunter, which
Yeah.
way's the wind going?
Right.
And he's got
I'm going to go off to the right of that dog, so I know I'm already clear of the dog when the bird comes up, and then I'm going to follow its move, mount, and shoot. So I'm going to move to the target, I'm going to mount the shotgun, and then I'm going to take the shot.
When I was out with my dad, and I always, we always talk about safety in the blind,
Right.
especially duck hunting. And we had one incident in all my years of hunting, and it's all it takes is that one incident, and you really kind of you start going over your safety aspects again. And when you're out there, you're doing the hunting. Sometimes, I don't want to say you get loose on it, but I had my GoPro on, and my dog Lincoln, he spooks up a bird. I pull up. I didn't shoot, but I put it down. I'm like, okay, and then I'm at home and I'm watching this, over, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't shoot because I knew my dad was there. But when that bird got up, in my mind, it said pull up, and that's when I pulled up, and then my dad shot, and I was like, good, because I put the gun back down.
Right.
But then I'm like, it's kind of like film for football. Professional football players don't go out and say, okay, here we go. They watch hours and hours of film. When I watched that, I'm like, that's good. It's a good reminder because I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it for myself, saying, be safe.
Right.
There, like we said at the beginning, there are no takebacks.
No.
There are no takebacks. I know that you always say one of your favorite quotes is bang and boom, or bang and thud.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
And safety is such a huge aspect, and Jim, that's something that you do in your show. You talk about safety and tips and stuff like that.
Whether we covered from hearing protection all the way up to how we hand each other a shotgun. And when I'm talking shooting with kids, whether it be hunting or clay shooting or whatever, if it's a semi-auto, you never accept the shotgun from me unless you see that the action is open. I will not give you a shotgun unless my action is open. That way you can see it's unloaded and I already know it's unloaded. It's over and under shotgun.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Sure.
Because that's key, because a lot of people now are getting semi-automatics instead of the pump actions and stuff like that.
Right.
So this is a great tip, and and I'm going to just call it the tip of the week right now. Jim, please repeat that.
Yeah, whether it be a pump shotgun or whether it be a semi-auto. When I give somebody that firearm, I will give it to them with the action facing them and the action being open. That way you can see that there's nothing in the chamber right there. I will not give you a shotgun, nor should you ever accept a shotgun from anybody, myself included, unless that action is open. Because that way it's 100% between the both of us that we know that gun is not loaded, there's nothing in the chamber. And so that's just safety. And when I'm teaching kids that way, I'm like, every once in a while I'll just give them the gun with the action closed, and I won't let go of it out of my hand. And I'm like, you're like, we're not taking it. Perfect. Then I'll slide the action open. You see there's nothing in there. Now you can take the firearm from me. Don't ever, always treat a firearm like it's loaded. A safety, when we first took our shotgun collector's course, a safety is a mechanical device that can and will fail.
Yes.
So you are the best safety for that firearm. It is an object. It is a machine. And you are in charge of it once it's in your hands.
And that's great that you went back to my hunter safety education class. And safety is a mechanical device. We had to say it can fail, but you're saying can and will fail. And you know what? That's great, because my shotgun, when I went on my pheasant hunt with my dad, I had him bring down one for me because my safety was messed up.
Right.
It just would not go down, and that happens with guns. I mean, it's a 14-year-old gun. It's going to happen sooner or later. Like you said, a cannon will fail. And safeties. It's not a safety net. It's just there for the oops, maybe for one moment that you actually need it.
This is the best way that I can do it. You're a responsible gun owner. It's responsible. If you want your firearm to work, clean it.
Yep.
If you want your firearm to be safe, then be in charge of it. Be safe.
Yes.
There's no excuses. There's no blaming anybody else. When it's in your hand, it's your responsibility. Period. End of story.
I was just reading a report. There's a couple gentlemen down in Louisiana. He's been hunting 40-some years, it said. And I know that the guy was having a great time up until the bullet hit him in the chest. He was with his two sons, pulled up, and the report was a little sketchy. It just said that the bullet ricocheted. I don't know what it ricocheted, but it hit him in the chest. They brought him to the hospital, and he unfortunately passed away. You hear about those. I mean, that's a freak accident, or is it? Like I said, I pulled up. I saw that my dad was there. I went down, but it's just kind of like, oh, what if I didn't have that quick thought? And it's just whether you're duck hunting, fishing, even for that matter, there are certain things that you can do to increase your safety out in the water to make you sure you have a good time.
Oh, there's no doubt. One of the things I've always said about when I fish tournaments, for instance, is my boat. I always have my boat organized. Yes. I knew where everything was. Well, the reason is I don't like to be tripping over everything in the boat, because that can lead to somebody in a boat having a bad day. I've had hooks in my fingers. I've been hit in the head by somebody with an errant cast. It's not fun. That's why I'm always wearing Polaroid protective glasses when I'm out in the water, even on a cloudy day. One errant cast. God gave you two eyes, and it can be ruined like that if you're not wearing glasses. It's a simple thing. A lure can come back at you. You get impatient, start pulling one off a log.
You see it all the time on Facebook. These guys with jigs literally stuck in their mouth. What are they doing? Fishing or being fished?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's no fun. I've been hooked, and when you're on a jerk being jerked on the other end, it's no fun.
And if you disagree with him, we'd love to hear those comments, because I don't know. But Jim, if someone's interested in finding out a little bit more about Hook and Hunt TV, where can they go and find you?
Oh, that's easy. Just go to hookandhunttv.com. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. But the easiest way is just Facebook. Is we've got a really big, good following on Facebook between my page, Jim Crowley, and the Hook and Hunt TV page, and then also, like I said, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Find us there, and you can send me emails too, and all that information's there. I answer emails weekly I'm the one who answers the emails. If they're trying to contact me, I want to answer them. So,
excuse me, one of the things that I love about Jim is that he is always responding to emails. He always actually puts stuff out there, so that we can interact with him. He is not what we'll call a celebrity hunter and angler. Yeah. While he loves the hunting and fishing aspect, he loves being a part of it. Mm-hmm. He sits there and he's so amazed of people. He's responding and stuff, and he wants to see people enjoy the outdoors. Whether you're a hunter or you're just getting into it. Hopefully, like my daughter, mm-hmm. who's 8 months. Now, 8 months old, so we got her, she went to New Hampshire with my wife, and she got a little fishing pole with a magnet.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm teaching her all how to hold it and everything else like that, but we got some work to do with that. So, Jim, we got, ice fishing season coming up. Mm-hmm. You got the outdoor expo season. You got duck hunting season. What do you got going on for 2017?
Oh, man, there's...
I know you mentioned a couple things there.
Yeah, this year, for example, let me go back real quick and I'll answer that. Mm-hmm. This year, for example, we fished as far south as Venice, Louisiana.
And tell us, you had the 8th largest swordfish in Louisiana history.
For like 2 days.
For 2 days.
For 2 days. And if you didn't see that show, we're gonna do a repeat of it in January. And I caught a 10-foot swordfish that weighed 207 pounds. Took us 2.5 hours to get it in, and for like 2 days. I think it was 8th or 9th largest in the state. at 207 pounds. And that was an hour and a half after we got it in, so it may have been a little heavier. But anyway, so, and then like 2 days later, that got broke, and then the record got broke again, and then it got broke again. And so I don't know where we are right now in that, but that's okay. It was the longest fight I've ever had on a fish, and it'll be on the cover of the story, and the picture of the fish will be on the cover of Adventure Sports Outdoors.
I remember when you posted this, and I sat there and I go, "Geez, Louise, that is a big fish." And you know, whether you know you do deep sea fishing or sea fishing in general, just seeing the size of the sucker was just like, now that's a fish.
Now, you know, you'd asked me earlier about a bucket list, and that was a bucket list. You know, that was I'm like, oh, I thought that'd be a cool thing to do. And then when you're right there in the middle of it, you know, we're set up everything. We do it on the show, and we hooked up a 2-foot squid. That was bait.
A 2-foot.
A 2-foot squid. And I remember fishing bass tournaments where, you know, all 5 of my fish were 12 inches.
Right,
We're not fishing and I'm like, and I'm using fish twice that size for bait, and it was really cool to do that, you know. And so next year or 2017, to get back to that, what we're going to do is we're going to be definitely doing more saltwater fishing again. We're probably going to go back down to Venice, without question, the best place that I've ever fished. It's absolutely amazing. I've got a great contact there with Bite Me Sport Fishing. If anybody wants to know, I brought home 300 pounds of fish in a cooler after a 4 or 5 day trip.
And what kind of fish did you bring home?
Well, the swordfish was 150 pounds of fillets.
Okay.
But on other trips, we've brought home snapper, redfish, yellowfin, blackfin, tuna.
That's awesome.
All good stuff. You know, all good stuff, and just incredible adventure. So we'll be doing that. We're gonna be doing some really in-depth bass stuff that I can't talk about right now because there's some new stuff coming out for Rapala.
So you heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen. There's some new stuff coming from Rapala.
There's some that's going to be really, really neat. And that's seriously, and I'm not just playing with you. That's all I can say about it until about middle of January. And we're going to be doing shows on that. The cool thing is what's going to happen is going to be designed for the weekend angler from Rapala Storm. And I think it's awesome. And we're going to do a lot of shows that way.
Okay.
This year, and they're going to be educational. They're going to be fun. It's stuff that the family can be involved in, and it's just going to be cool. So we're going to do a lot of that this year. We're going to do some more shooting. Obviously, we do sporting clay stuff every year and some more instructional stuff like that. And then we're already planning stuff in advance for next waterfowl season.
Always.
But
Always.
But we're gonna be hooking up with some companies and doing some different stuff. As far as you diver guys go, we have a huge following when it comes to diver hunters, and we're gonna be doing some stuff next year and some really in-depth stuff as well as history on diver hunting that we're gonna incorporate the shows and some of the people that we bring with us. And it's gonna be cool.
It sounds like it's gonna be an amazing year. If you're interested in following Jim, I highly recommend it because you know what, whether you are a duck diver,
Diver duck?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you know,
sounds good.
If you're a waterfowl hunter or if you're bass fishing, you're always learning something, and that's why I love following Jim Crowley. I ask for everyone to give him a follow. You know, check us out. We're on Instagram,
right.
Facebook, social media, blah, blah, blah. You know, but more so than anything, check us out at capital-outdoors.com. Jim, I really appreciate you spending the evening with us and, giving us tips, inside scoops.
Sure.
Are you doing anything with Bass Pro this year? I know that's how I met you. Jim does stuff. I know you do it at Gurney, but I don't drive up Gurney. But he does Bass Pro in East Peoria. You doing it? I know you do it with the kids.
Right.
So.
We're doing the Anglers Arena again this year.
Fantastic.
It's going to be me and Justin Schick, a couple other Bass Pro guys. But the first one, I'm doing the first seminar January 10th. So look for that from the East Peoria store, 7 p.m. that night, and it's going to be the first Anglers Arena. We're going to be talking on tactics for cold water, whether it be clear or stained water for bass guys. So come to that one. That's going to be a good seminar, and then we're going to do it every month for the next 4 months.
And he always puts that stuff up on his Facebook.
Yeah, so that'll be there in East Peoria. I'll see it too. And then in March, I think we're going to go back and do a different type of seminar with probably Gurney and probably East Peoria as well. and wherever else Rapala sends me. So that, it'll be busy, be fun.
So make sure you follow him because you're always going to learn something. That's why I follow him. He's a great guy. And Jim, from me and my wife, I wanted to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, God bless both of you, and God bless everybody who turned in tonight. Remember the reason for the season. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank